All right, good evening. I would like to call to order the regularly scheduled Town of Haymarket Planning Commission meeting for Monday, September 17th, 2018. Roll call, please.
Cottle.
Here.
Shannon.
Here.
James.
Here.
Corral.
Here.
Larry.
Here. All right, if we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And while we observe the moment of silence, let's remember the folks in North Carolina and also the tornado that touched down in Richmond this afternoon. All right, thank you. All right, first order of business here is the minutes approval for the work session. We'll look at that one first on August 20th. All right, do I have a motion to accept the minutes for the work session on Monday, August 20?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Chairman, I'll move that the Town of Haymarket Planning Commission, the work session minutes, that we approve them from the Monday, August 20th.
All right, do I have a second?
Seconded.
All right. We'll let the council, to my right, we'll let him be the second. All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor of approving the minutes as written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thank you. All right, let's look at the regularly scheduled meeting on August 20th, the minutes for that. All right, do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion that we accept the regular meeting minutes from the Planning Commission from Monday, August 20th.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thank you. All right, moving on, citizens' time. Do we have any citizen here that would like to address the Planning Commission? If so, please come to the podium, state your name and address. All right, seeing none, we will close citizens' time. All right, moving on to the agenda items, comp plan. Ma'am, you're up.
Have your comp plan. This can be your working copy to write all over, take your notes in. We're gonna work to update this. It is in desperate need of an update. So what I want to propose is that we schedule a work session. I have on kind of the staff report here that we look at October 15th. That's our next meeting date. Maybe a 6 o'clock work session. We can look at another date if you guys feel you want to start with a longer meeting time, or if there's other conflicts. Certainly open to any and all ideas, but one thing I'd like to get out of this work session is have you guys tell me a couple areas, or maybe we pick tonight one or two things we really want to start on, and then that way I can get the research, I can come back to you guys, and we can have a really productive work session meeting. So kind of looking for some guidance from you guys, as well as what things you want to see we add or really beef up.
So you would like to do a work session and then a regular meeting?
Yes, I do feel like we can have a work session at 6. I think that really truly only gives us 35 to 40 minutes of a good working conversation between, our meeting times and all of that, getting adjusted for this meeting. I think it would be best if we could have a 2-hour time period, or maybe there's a night we can all decide on, set the meeting, and then, that could even give us 2 or 3 hours, 2.5 hours. Once you sit down for an hour, I just think time goes a little too quickly, and we could really get more done. So I don't know everyone's availability to meet at 5, 5:30, or maybe we just pick a different date, a Tuesday or a Thursday. We can pick a Wednesday that we don't have architectural review board.
Yeah, I know I'm pretty much 6 o'clock would be the earliest for me, just because of the bus schedule out of the Pentagon, but
Okay.
we're in the week.
Yeah, I would like to suggest that possibly move it to a different week other than the 15th. I
Okay.
will be out of town that entire week. And I agree, possibly having it 2 separate days might be easier, so that way we could do like a 7 to 9 for the working session, and then for the regularly scheduled session, a different day, 7 to 9, as usual.
Okay. How about,
The week before is a long weekend,
yes,
and I know I'm personally out in town until the 9th. I'm back on the 10th, so that I'm available.
how does the 11th look for everybody? That is a Thursday,
I'll be gone.
okay?
We'll probably get a whiteboard up here. Do matrix.
What about
How about-
the 25th, Thursday the 25th? Is everybody available that night?
October?
Yes, sir.
Should be okay.
I'm gone the 20th through the 27th. I'm out of the area.
Okay.
So I recommend you don't hold a work session just for me, though, because there's quite a bit of time in October I'm gone. But I can certainly get my comments and provide them to you,
Okay.
Chairman, as well as Emily and all. Or I can send them to everybody. So I would just recommend you don't hold that for my schedule, because I'm gone so much in October.
All right. Well, with that, would Thursday the 25th work?
Works for me.
From 6 to 9? Is that what we're deciding?
If we went 6 to 9, we could, let me ask you this. What do you anticipate next month as far as things that we need to cover in our regular meetings? Is there any big thing, a big ticket item coming up?
I'll kind of go ahead and do the town planner update on that note. We will have a zoning text amendment public hearing, and we will also have a special use permit public hearing. However, as of today, the applications aren't ready to be publicly noticed, so that might not be until November.
All right.
So it's not looking like a heavy schedule.
I mean, in respect to everybody's time with dates, my preference would be to start like at 6 and just go long one night than be out 2 different nights, if
Yeah.
everybody's agreeable
Fine with
with
me.
that. I mean, one night to me is better than 2, especially some of these guys with young families. So if we were to start at 6 and go for an hour, provided we had done our homework.
Okay.
And then do our regular meeting, and if something we got caught up, we could always
Continuation.
continue, yeah, thank you, I was looking for the word, continue after the regular meeting, provided it didn't go too late, and we could come on the backside if there's really nothing pressing.
Okay, and I can, as we get closer, work with Shelley, and she can let you know if we don't have anything for the agenda that night, we can cancel the regular meeting but hold the work session for 6 to 9 or something like that.
Okay? Is
on
that
a
okay?
regular date.
All right.
It would be the 15th still, though.
Yeah, 15th works for me. I mean, it's already working, and we might as well do it earlier than later, you know?
Yeah, the 15th, I'm out.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't be here on the 15th. either.
Can we, would everybody be in town the 25th? That
I'm in-
That's when
Thursday?
I'm
I know
gone.
that you're gone, but the other three
But
of you.
again, I'll have my comments provided, so.
Okay. Can we do does the 25th work for you all?
Should be okay.
All right, let's,
So we're canceling the meeting on the 15th, the regular meeting on the 15th is canceled, and we're holding a work session / regular meeting on the 25th, all dependent on if we have a regular schedule agenda.
Correct.
Otherwise, it would be just a work session.
all right, and we could start at 6 PM.
Okay?
And if
Actually,
you're-
let me say 24th. Sorry, I forgot we're going to Disney World, of course, that night. So we're actually driving that night.
Okay, how
But the night
about,
before, I'm free, the 24th.
does the 18th work for you all? I know Steve's out.
No, I'm gone the 20th through the 27th,
Would the 18th work?
so.
Maybe. I'll be driving back from Williamsburg on that day. I'm not sure what time I can be back in town by, but
Should be fun. I have the next day off, so it's good.
As of now, it's good. Sometimes I get pop-up stuff at work, but
18th or 19th, I'm good.
Let's do the 18th, and we'll start at 6.
Okay?
And we'll do a work session. And we'll just say we'll do a work session until 6 to 7, and then you determine, Ms. Lockhart, what we have for the regular scheduled meeting. If not, we can just do a work session, because this is in dire need of update. I mean, it's been out of date for the last 5 years, and it continues to cause us a lot of problems.
Yes.
So, okay, so that works for everybody, then you can
That's
just.
6 to 9?
We'll pencil 6 to 9,
Got it.
and if we don't have a regular scheduled meeting, then obviously I don't see us going 3 hours. But if you all could pencil in 6 to 9, that'd be great.
Got it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, on that note, can we just, while we have it up for discussion, look at this page I, it's about the 4th page in on the comprehensive plan. You'll see the table of contents. So in the next week or so, if you guys could reach out to me, let me know, of these different, of part 1, the community characteristics and resource inventory. Let's start there. What is your top priorities of, what do you want to work on first? Some of this we will have to outsource on some of the demographics, things like that. But just give me some ideas where you want to start. Also, on page II, 1.9, community attitudes. So they did a 2006 survey. I'm going to talk with council and see if this is something we want to do again, but give that some thought as well. Do you guys want to do a survey? I know we'll need to hold charrettes, invite the public in, kind of have a work session with the public, engage them in specific conversations, lay out different scenarios, things like that. So hopefully that's something we can do later on in the winter time, first of the new year. But I want us to have a good grasp on, here's what we're gonna present to them. So give all that some thought, and then in the next week, if you'll just let me know what you guys want research on for our work session, that would be great.
A lot of this
Part
is,
Just part 1 so far, yeah. Working
Yeah,
part 1.
let's start
You know,
with half,
yeah.
and then we'll
Yeah.
go from there. And a lot of that is, in part one, Mr. Shannon, I don't know if you were gonna say this, a lot of it is very data-based. However, as you read through it, a lot of it can also be changed. There's a certain, as you read the comp plan, there's also a certain tone to it. I want you guys to read for that, and let's decide, you know, to me, there's a certain tone that I think we want to change into a little bit more of a positive tone. So that is one of my main things I want to work on with it. As for some of the natural resources inventory, those things, a lot of it won't change, but some of it has changed since 2006, 2008.
Yeah, and the interesting part is, as an example, sitting here looking at transportation systems, a lot of that's definitely, I mean, it's nice information for us, but it's outside of our bailiwick, really. I mean, we don't have anything, we can state what our druthers are.
What I think long-term I want to propose is we take almost all of part one, aside from community profile, historic resources, land use policy, and really make the rest of that appendices. They don't need to be up front in the comp plan. And then we spend a lot of our time looking at our community goals and objectives, and then our plan implementation. That's kind of the heart of what a comprehensive plan is. And then also engaging the community and how we're gonna, you know, plan 5, 10, 20 years out. So the other thing that I find missing, this is just kind of from planning school, what we're always taught, you need to have a vision statement and a missions goal, and we're sorely missing that here in the comp plan. So I think that needs to be also a focus that the commission works with council as well. And I think it'll come down to, we have to have a joint work session so that we make sure we're planning what they're envisioning.
You know, we had that discussion with the council, as you know, we've got our vision statement and stuff, so. That's gonna, should that be different than what this?
Sometimes it'll be a little different based on, this vision statement would be more for the vision the planning commission has in terms of development and those, I'll provide examples at our work session.
And if you can make sure that everyone's got what we did with the council, our vision statement and everything that we did at the workshop,
Okay.
I think that would, you know, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. And that may help out, so. And let me just clarify, so we're going to come up with a draft. The council will come up as well with our draft. Will this then be available to the town of Haymarket for them to review? Then we'll have a town hearing, we'll have a town meeting for their comments ultimately before we go final.
Absolutely.
So,
And
okay.
the whole time we're working on this, we should develop a plan that, at our next work session, we should develop a plan for, you know, an X number of months, we're gonna engage the public by holding a public workshop.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a charrette, we're gonna send out a survey, and then we have very realistic goals for how many people are gonna participate and how, if they aren't participating, how are we gonna go out there and really engage them?
Okay. Excellent, excellent.
So just to clarify, what exactly, like, what specifically you're looking for in terms of like just us to go through it and give us give our comments on how we should proceed with like what we want to focus on, as well as how we want it to sound, in a sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's a good basic way to put it. You'll also look through and you'll see like a lot of it could be outdated just in terms of how much our area's grown.
Right.
And then there's some stress on the historic aspect of it where we can add more, we can change it on how our towns change, but also we can put a lot of this stuff, like I was saying, in the appendix. but then as you read it, you'll see some of the sections have a very negative tone on development, and while in some cases that may be true, we don't want to develop in certain areas or certain ways, I think development's very positive for our future. So whether it be we grow on what we have, or we grow in areas we don't already have a good base, then I think we need to change that tone in this document.
Along those regards, if you look on page 91, the plan land use map, and obviously we just spent considerable time on this interchange park property up here. I mean, going all the way back to 2008, this parcel that we just held a couple public hearings on was always, at least for the last 10 years, was planned as an interchange park. So what I would think would be helpful is to identify the vacant parcels that are yet to be developed or potentially could be developed, like downtown, and just kind of give us, from your perspective, what could be developed further in the town, because in reality, a lot of the larger land tracts are pretty much, you know what I'm saying,
Yes.
to see what's remaining and how it could tie into what is existing, what existing things are being developed. I'll get it out in a minute. And then because as I look back over the last 5 to 7 years, the biggest thing we've dealt with in public hearings and amongst ourselves is, okay, we have this piece of real estate called the town of Haymarket, but how does the east end compare to the west end and transitional? And that seems to be where our biggest issues have come from and continually come from. So I think once we come up with the vision and goal to really take a hard look at this plan land use map, would probably eliminate 80% of the things that we continually deal with. Kind of like reverse engineering, if you will. Once we
All
know
that-
what we have, figure out what we can do with what we have, and then go backwards.
I'll have at our work session updated maps. I'm working in GIS right now with which parcels, because if you look at this map also, the town boundary lines have actually changed down by
Correct.
QBE, and a lot of the parcels, some have changed. So I'll update all of that, and I think that'll get to what you were just saying, that we really see there's very few in here.
Right.
Yeah, I think where we can too, also reduce language and be more direct. I think at certain points it can be pretty wordy. We're already at 120 pages, and so you want this to be a usable document for your citizens as well. And like, I completely agree, putting a lot of the factual stuff at the back end and having a lot of like the plan and future stuff in the front end to get people excited and looking, that's what they want to see instead of fishing through all the info. But I think we can be more direct too, the language, positive and more succinct.
Agree.
So that's all I have on the comp plan, just give you guys some ideas to go home and think about.
Sure.
And I just ask that you email me some of your thoughts on it so that I can start working on it sooner rather than later. And that's all I have, Chairman.
Can I just throw one more
Yes.
monkey wrench into this that's come up? I'm just thinking
Always.
over the years. On page 46, historical buildings inventory. We've also debated this many times. What is a historic building? And who determines what a historic building is? Is it strictly the ARB, or is it a national registry? Because there's variances of opinion what a historic building is. And I would say outside of the plan land use map, this seems to be the second area we get hung up on. You know, can we demo a building? Well, some deem it historic, some deem it, you know what I'm saying? Because there's been a lot of debate, what is a historic building? So if you could I'm not sure you can do that in the next month, but kind of taking page 46 and see what you can come up with. What is an official historic building?
Okay.
It looks like the
says-
code on top, yeah.
Yeah,
The-
right there
the-
at the very top in the town code, it says all buildings which are 50 years old or
Yeah,
older.
but there's
There's,
a lot of issues there because we have historic buildings across the street that you can do nothing with. They're
Right,
past,
that's what-
they're going to be demolished. They need to be demolished. There's nothing we can do to them. So that's the thing that really has to be clarified is, I am all for the historic value of our great little
Absolutely.
town, but I'm also for, to preserve what can be preserved. If it cannot be preserved, then the one house across the street is a perfect example. It needs to be demolished and we need to move on.
Yeah, I think it's just an explanation more than the 3 sentences, because this
Yeah.
is telling you
Yeah.
what consists of a historic building, but then also what we're doing about it, because they have the blight ordinance as well to talk about, like, if it's life safety issues, then it doesn't qualify to be protected, right? I mean, there's some things to be, just as, a citizen picks this up and they're going to read it and they're going to just be able to understand, like, oh, okay, now I understand
right.
what's historic, but also certain things can be demolished. It's not impossible
From a
to.
usability
Yeah.
perspective.
So you'll have local, state, and national requirements, so I'll get more information on that. We'll have to work with the ARB and the guidelines, how it really applies, but it's good to go ahead and put this in now, because in 20 years, we're looking at Green Hill Crossing. If we leave the language the way it is, every home in Green Hill Crossing will become historic based on the 50-year age limit. So is a home in Green Hill Crossing historic? At that time, is going to show what architecture was like 50 years ago, but it's definitely something we want to go and clarify now. So I'll work on getting that.
And the reason I mention that is because when we went to move the Harover buildings, for the longest time, people in town believed it was a Sears Roebuck home, but upon further investigation, it wasn't.
Yeah, I believe
So-
they're Lewis homes.
Right. So there's just a lot of discrepancies here that, that we really need to take a look at, because if you look at this downtown area, a lot of it is being taken up, and we're stifling our own development because some of these are just absolute hazards. So, and I know that's not just our purview, the ARB obviously weighs in, but as we plan this town, in the future planning commissions, they have to know what they're working with, so if you could just come up, I think those two areas would be the most beneficial.
Okay,
Does local trump state?
yes.
Okay.
In this instance, it does. We had another structure come up, and it wasn't declared at the state level. However, us being a historic overlay, the local trumped it. So
Okay.
they still had to come through the necessary. And we do have, like our town museum is, I believe, nationally recognized
Sure.
as a historic structure. So we have some of everything, and I think therefore we need to have all 3 layers of it in there.
For the next 5 years or so, from our discussions and all of the possibilities in this town of growing, of building, these are important topics, and I'm glad because we need to confront them now. They need to come up now so that they don't just get dragged on. I look at the development possibilities along here, and I'm excited about it. I really am, provided it's the right type of buildings and use, I guess, for our town here, so.
Yeah, because history's still in the making. In
Always.
100 years from now, whatever we develop is going to become historic. So, all right, I think we beat this up pretty good. That would be really
Thank you.
helpful. Thank you. And I'm glad we're doing this. It's long overdue.
Yes, yes indeed.
All right, any other discussion before we move to old business? All right, let's go to old business then, please.
Okay, so I provided a memo with our updates to our priority list. The trash cans were ordered. I'm expecting them any day now. They're gonna be delivered with a nice forklift. They're quite heavy, so once they get placed, they're probably gonna stay there for a little while, unless we have willing people to move them. I wanted to look at bike racks, so I want you guys aren't picking the architectural of it, but we're talking about size. So I envision something along these lines, 5, 10 users, but just starting with one. You guys can pass it around. My intent is for that one, if we get one that's movable, once we get the site plan done, we can lift it up, reposition it. Maybe we move it down here, maybe we move it elsewhere, maybe we sell it, but we're not strictly tied to that in its placement. I also don't think right now we have anywhere to surface mount the other U-shaped one, so that's why I was thinking we would go with this other movable one. If that's amenable, how many users do you guys want to plan for?
I think the 10 to start out with. I think we got to crawl before we walk. And the other thing is, definitely, when I say portable, I don't want somebody to be able to come and move it away in the middle of the night. We've yet to develop that park the way we want it. So we need to keep kind of open architecture with that type of stuff so that we can move it around as need be.
I agree with that.
Okay, so if we're all good with roughly 10 users, I will get the ARB to approve this Wednesday night, and then we'll order it Thursday morning, and we'll be checking off the list. Crosswalk information, if you flip to page 2, hopefully everyone had a chance to read through this. But this is some correspondence from Jim Lilly, there with VDOT, and it's just information on what we would need to do in order to move forward with the proposed crosswalk. So when I was out walking the other day, I was sort of thinking about it, and I don't know that it makes sense or addresses the issue that we discussed last month, but we can also look at doing a crosswalk from St. Paul over to VCA Healthy Paws. There's a handicap ramp on St. Paul, and then over to VCA there's also a handicap ramp, so you have your receiving on both ends. That was one of the requirements here. So we're going to also have to look at how many pedestrians are there. We're going to have to do the pedestrian count and figure out, do we have enough traffic usage? Steve, do you know?
Here's the problem with that count, and yes, it does. We don't know who's going to use it until it's there.
Right.
That's a tough survey. I truly believe, because I see people all the time walking across different parts. The reason why I wanted a crosswalk down there somewhere, because the closest one is right here at Jefferson and in Washington. And I think if something's further down, I believe that those of us that walk will use it more, hopefully. So whether it's at the original location we talked about or further down, I'd like to see another crosswalk. If the crosswalks are not there, then people are going to just jaywalk. They're just going to go across. I'm guilty of that myself. So I think adding another crosswalk, provided we meet these requirements, is definitely a big plus for safety in our walking town.
You know, on number 1 there, I read through all this, and, the minimum of 20 pedestrians and bicyclists using the crosswalk in an hour, but it can be reduced to 10 based upon age, over 65, disabled, or under 15. I think a lot of people don't use the park, even a picnic, is just because it's just too hard. Mm-hmm. Like Sunday morning, we were walking a dog, and there was a van doing 59 miles an hour, all the way past the flashing sign. So, you get somebody walking thinking speed limit is 25, somebody's doing almost 3 times that amount.
Yep.
I'm afraid somebody's going to get killed there one day. I'm not sure at this present time we can say there's 10 people that go back and forth. but I think if we had it, more people would use the park. So it's kind of like a catch-22.
So I don't know if we look back at the priority list and we consider, maybe once we have the trash cans, the bike rack, maybe we look at the playground, and then we do the build it and they will come, and then we reassess the crosswalk and we save money in the budget for that. Or we stick that at the very top of the list for next fiscal year, when we hit July, maybe we have a plan in motion, we've done all the homework this year, and then next summer, we can actually implement the crosswalk plan with funding.
And let me ask Councilman Shannon, it's kind of like, the analogy is this traffic light down here at the fairgrounds, right? You have to build it to get the traffic count,
Build it and they'll come.
to justify the traffic signal. It almost seems like it's the same situation down here. We have to build the park to get the traffic count, pedestrian count up to get a crosswalk. Is that a fair analogy?
Yeah, I think it is. Again, from the safety perspective, first of all, it's not a cheap project. Putting a crosswalk in is not a cheap project. I can tell you, because it's got to meet ADA standards and everything else. I don't know what that cost would be. I just know it's expensive. However, again, I'm one of these that, it's tough to put a price on safety, especially with the number of children we have that may be using the park and stuff like that. I'm all for making that a top priority, personally, for safety of our walk in town, is to get that up front and do what we need to do to budget for that. So,
I think if we bring the park in first, you're going to see the people coming, right? And hopefully we can rely on the police to be an active force, to sit there and deter speeders, and ensure safety so they can hang out right there. And then you're going to get a real life indication also where people are actually going to cross. So we don't build a crosswalk just 20 yards down and people are going to ignore it anyway because people are people and they're going to take the shortest route, so we don't spend all that money on a crosswalk that people won't actually utilize. So I would propose building the park first, then you're going to see where people are traveling from, and we can have the police, do some presence there because it's going to be a change to, traffic and the pattern. And then we can decide if the crosswalk works and maybe even go further, with maybe a speed table. If people are still speeding dramatically through that area,
that's a primary road. You won't get a speed table on there.
No, or a speed bump, yeah.
You won't get a speed table, speed bump. That's a primary road, so that won't happen. But, the good thing about the police department is they do shoot radar there a lot and everything, and they would continue to do that. I'm okay either way. Safety to me is paramount over everything else. But if we don't put the playground in and things like that, people aren't going to use it. Right. So that makes sense, and let's get that going and let our citizens start using that. Then that'll give us a better idea. It's one of those things when you put in a crosswalk, you can't make people use it unless you're out there giving jaywalking tickets, and that's not going to happen. Even crosswalks, people get killed in crosswalks. Right here by Harris Teeter, young girl was killed there with that crosswalk set up, and that's one of the best. Things happen. But I'd be fine with building getting that, and I'd like to get something so our children and our adults can go over and use it, whether they're sitting there on their laptop or whatever. So I would not be opposed to that. I just think we need to keep this on the front burner so that when we get to where we can, that we get that crosswalk put in there.
Well, right now, on page 7, the current budget is $68,000. You said, but not limited to the pet station maintenance. The pet stations, we didn't pay for, they were donated, correct?
But we pay for the service of them.
Right, but I'm saying, if you could come up with some numbers, I would think we could build
So let me refer you.
and I read that in the back.
You saw page 9?
I did,
with
I read it
playground?
all. So I'm saying, even if we could start something small, to,
So, in reference to the playground and the cost, if we went with rubber, you know the rubber fancy stuff that they have now? So, that is, we'll just say roughly $27,000. If you go with wood chips, it's about a third of the cost. So, wood chips are gonna require more maintenance over time. We're gonna have to go in, have them probably annually inspected, put more in, do the test of like, I guess if a kid falls, you know, what's the bounce, things like that. But if we went with the rubber, you have a little bit longer, you know, you don't need to replace it as often, you still need to get it inspected, but it lasts longer. So there's those options. Do we go ahead and put in the cost now, or do we do the wood chips? So the playground specialists that I've spoken with say, you can start with wood chips if that's what your budget allows for, and then you can save up and you can do the rubber later on down the line. So there's those options. The equipment that I currently picked out for this quote, it's pretty basic. It still allows for roughly 25 users, so it's a good number of kids. That would be one whole class from, you know, the Baptist church preschool right next door. But it's those little things. The equipment services kids 5 to 12. Of course, you know, younger kids will go play on it if mom and dad are watching, but this also allowed for a little swing set with 2 regular swings and then a little infant swing, and then 2 smaller little features for the infants. I can certainly take it all the way back down to just the playground equipment itself, but it's really what's costing the most money is the covering. So, and they help us with the site plan and all of that stuff for it. So, as long as you buy from them, they have certain deals where they'll help you out with the engineering aspect of it. But we will also have to do some site work. I also spoke with somebody with Prince William County, the director of the Park Authority, and he helped me out with some ideas for grant applications. So I'm working on applying for some of those for us, so that maybe we can get a little bit of grant money funding. So if anybody has other ideas, other ones you've heard.
We eat up at, by Harris Teeter up on 15 and 29 there, and they have, in the condominiums there in all the apartments, they have a playground there, and it's the rubber stuff, the rubber matting. It's pretty maintenance-free after you get it down, but it is expensive up front. That's why I asked before, you know, and I think you checked, you said the insurance is even more? Or it was the installation was a lot more, whatever. I think the important thing is to get it in. I'm not opposed to going with the chips, that type of stuff initially, because you can, most of the site work will be done. Then if we decided to go with the other, you've already got the leveling done. They still got to do some site work, but it would be very minimum, I would think. And that may take a couple of years. And maybe I'm getting ahead of the game, but I'm looking at possibilities of tax revenue over the next 3 to 5 years, if we get the businesses in and things like this, and that it should help our budget quite a bit. But I think kind of crawling before we walk. So
With the grant stuff that you were just talking about, should we possibly investigate that a little bit first to determine, all right, if we want to spend money twice on just replacing whether it's wood or?
So with the grant funding, of course, it's kind of they issue them and award them as they have the money. Some of them are rolling, some have certain time periods. The one I'm looking into right now is Kaboom. I think it's with either Lowe's or Home Depot. So they work with small towns like ourselves, cities. They work with just about anybody who's looking to put in a park that's going to service the better community. They don't have, I think they have a limit of 15,000. We have to get back on that, but they have a good chunk there. That if it is issued, it would be, you know, a big help for us. There's no information right now on when they're awarded. So if we apply next month, it could be, you know,
Next year.
Next year, right. So that's another thing we have to keep in mind. But the nice thing with the group I was working with on the playground, everything, so we can start very, very basic, and then they can do us up a phasing plan so that maybe we buy into phase one, but then in the next 2 fiscal years, we have, you know, a plan for phase 2 and phase 3. So
Okay.
that could be where maybe some of the grant money comes in. Who knows? I could apply for a grant, you know, next month, and we could see it in 2019 or
and-
early 2020.
One other question, I don't know if it's been discussed previously, but down at, what is it, James Long Park, down there off of 15, the playground has like this covering, so like on the really hot days, right, it's not, you know, the kids aren't burning themselves on the stuff. Has that been considered, or was that just too far out of the budget? or-
Not yet, and more so because the place we're looking, so if you're standing in front of the park and you're looking up, you have the 2 gravel driveways.
Hmm.
So in between them, there's a nice grassy area, there's a couple walnut trees there. So it would almost tuck, not under the walnut trees, but the shade of the walnuts will help keep it
Okay.
a little cooler. They might get hit with a walnut, but
You're talking about the playground area, not the
Yeah.
basketball courts?
It's like right behind the
Okay,
basketball court.
yeah.
is it like
Because the
the-
basketball courts,
Just
those
asphalt.
things are crazy because they've got gaps in them that big and
Yeah.
everything. But I think it's similar to the rubber mounting that I'm talking about at the other
I think they have chips
place.
over there. I think they
Yeah.
have wood chips there.
Oh, it's wood chips there?
Well, so I'm not talking about the actual like floor covering, I'm talking about they
Talking
have
about
something to block the sun out.
Got
Do they
Got it.
have
Okay.
the
Could-
sail canopies?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
Yeah.
like
so
these yellow.
the nice
things.
thing about those, I don't know if you've seen it seasonally, but like I have them in my neighborhood. So they'll put the post in, and then in the summer months, they leave the sail up, but then to keep them in good condition, they'll take them down in the winter when you don't really need them. So that's another option, but that could even be phase 2, where we get the playground in, and then we see, is it really needed? And maybe it is, maybe
Sure.
the kids
That's a good
scorch
point, Tony.
themselves on the slides.
Yep.
I think we should just go for broke, design like 3 phases. Even if it's 2 swings and a sliding board, we show progress. And
Okay.
to me, kids been playing on wood chips for centuries, so we'll kill our kids to be on wood chips, and then
And
we
like I
could
said,
Which is
always.
fine.
It's upgradable, so it's like, you know, we can
Always
definitely
go
plan
in
for
there.
it for like second phase or whatever.
Okay, so I'll contact them again, and I'll have them rework what they sent me, the proposal originally with the rubber, ask them to do it up in wood chips. I think it's gonna bring it down to about half the cost. So hopefully that takes our 80% of the park budget down to about 40. And then I'll also have him do up a plan for a phase 2. Maybe we incorporate the cover, the rubber, things like that.
Okay.
And then that gives you a chance to work on grants to see.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I just think we're at a point we need to show progress. We need to
Absolutely.
put something in,
Absolutely.
so, and I think it would really
Agree.
help the town. All right,
Be nice if my kids could use it before they're too old.
my kids are grown, so we got jilted, but we're all right. We survived.
Are you ever too old to use it?
The grandkids are coming, so let's get that thing built.
Some of them are here already, so.
Yeah. That's how you got hurt, right? Playing with the grandkids, truth comes out. All right, can you come up with some prices for when we meet on, what, the 18th or whatever?
Absolutely, yes.
And if it's okay with you all, present it like, you know, phase 1, what it would cost, we could do right away, phase 2, phase 3, and then kind of go from there. Because if we could have something up by next spring, I think it would be huge for the community.
And the nice thing is, with the group I'm working with, they are running a sale, not that we have to buy because there's a sale, but they have a sale through December, so we might be able to work on something there. Or they also said they come back and do kind of winter sales to get people excited about the spring. So I think they're very excited to work with us and do a project on this end of the county, so they're definitely helping in all ways that they can as well.
It'd be awesome by the end of the year that we can say, this is what we're doing. This is a timeline and moving forward. I think, you know, we owe that, you know, to our citizens and everything. So I agree with you, Matt. We've been talking about it, though, for the couple of years that I've been up here. Let's move forward. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
How do we
That
communicate?
board that we have up there saying the community park coming soon.
Yeah, I mean, how do we communicate to the community, I guess? I think some people just don't think anything's going to happen, and, I mean, how are we being
And you just
effective?
surprise them.
be surprised. And it just shows up one day. Because you might get some people that are willing to, I mean, who knows, they work for businesses and maybe they want to donate money as part of business. I mean, I don't know if we want to get into the point where we're putting up ads, but
We can
ad space for
certainly do-
funding, but.
We can certainly do an outreach. I would say we wait until we have phase 1 or 2 planned out. We all come to an agreement on it, council agrees, we agree we're gonna spend the money and do it. And then I think at that point, maybe it's a Saturday work session and we all as a group go around and, we talk to people, maybe we invite the HOAs to put something out.
Mhm.
Like you said, go to the businesses, maybe some of them would love to donate.
I think the
Yeah.
last thing we want to do is put another sign up, playground
Yeah.
coming soon. We
That-
just need to do it.
And that's why I think we need to come up with our plan first,
Yes.
so that to sell that plan, we need a final plan. And then we can go out to business owners or whoever, see if anybody wants to donate, but they need to see what they're donating for. So
Yeah.
we come up with a final plan, I'm for that 100%.
The proposed coming soon park sign has been up at least 3 years, so I think, like, Chairman was saying, if we put another sign up, I'm not sure anybody's gonna believe it until they actually see it, so.
No, but I mean, just like, are people following on social media? I mean, just things like that, so people feel more plugged in, more immediate.
Get excited about it
Yeah.
again.
I think the moment we have like an actual plan and like we've planned out and like, bought and stuff and like have contractors come in and start working, or like when we have that planned as that this is when they're coming, I think
Do
that's
some kind of
exactly.
phases for 'em.
Exactly, and at that point, I think we can just be like, okay, it's coming here, this day, like specifically it's done, kind of thing.
And I'll work with them and get elevations, so when we hit buy, we can start advertising the elevations of what it's gonna look like,
Right.
what they can get excited about.
Part of the phasing, could you also add like the small toddler side too? Like, so if you do phase 1 is like the 5 through 12 age, and then maybe phase 2 we
I'm
add,
hoping in phase
the
1
smaller.
we have all ages
Both? Okay.
up to 12, because, so I'd love if we'd be able to have the 5 through 12 equipment and then have the swings that have the infant seat and then the little rockers as well.
Right.
That I think is all very affordable if we switch to wood chips.
yeah, okay.
So that's my goal, is to give something for everybody, because there's nothing like taking your older kids and younger child and they can't all play.
Yeah, because the 2-year-olds try to climb up and they pretty much, you're just sitting there the whole time like this,
You don't enjoy that?
you give them a little space for themselves and,
Cardio.
yeah.
And the last thing on the playground, to come up with the dimensions of all 3 phases, because we really need a fence down there. And it would be nice to get the fence up,
Let me get the plan they drew up real quick.
okay?
Just a second.
What's the name of the company? We could research it.
Play World,
Playworld,
and they go by Playground Specialists.
what's their website?
Playworld.com. And they do work with, so do this if you will. They do work with Kaboom, who is the grant funder, and they have a couple others, but that would get us some good ideas. If you guys see any grants and you think, hey, this is great, thing, send it to me, I'll look at doing it. So this is the current, kind of what we're looking at. 2 slides and a little rock climb. So,
Oh, yeah, that works.
That
something
works.
that kind of engages everybody. So you put that in, and this, it's a lot of fun stuff. Okay.
And the good thing is this, again, is growing. I mean, this is what we're looking at now. We can expand as we can, so.
Yeah, that's why I think we should keep in mind enough space that we can, phase 1, 2, 3. It might
Absolutely.
continue to grow as Haymarket grows in population and density, and so we're not thinking about now, but thinking about 20 years from now,
Yeah, it looks good.
Mhm.
Has a little kitty one on it,
Yeah.
so we can.
All right, well, let's go for it.
Okay.
Agree.
All right, I'm going to move it along just because of the weather. Any other thing on the Harover property? All right, let's go on to town planner update. I appreciate your work on all that. To me, it's exciting, and let's get something in the ground.
I don't have any other update other than, everybody just keep your ear out for, I guess, keep your eye out for an email from me, regarding the SUP that's gonna be coming up for a public hearing for the McDonald's. So what they're looking at doing is adding a second drive-through lane, but since this isn't covered in our ordinance, we do have to treat it that way. And then the other is a zoning text amendment to our zoning ordinance, and that will be for a property further down the street. So as soon as everything's compiled, I have a staff report, I'll send it out to you guys when I do the public notice, and you can feel free to read it, ask questions. We can set up meetings if you have a lot of questions about it or just want to know more. So
Okay,
just be on the lookout for those in the next couple weeks.
all right. Thank you. All right, Mr. Shannon, town council update.
Yes, sir, 4 quick things. We voted on 3 of the special use permits for the Crossroads project. 1 failed and 2 passed. We also had a resolution for the suicide awareness proclamation for the month of September for the town of Haymarket, which I was excited about. Also, veterans banners. They've come up, we were briefed on that. It's a great opportunity. I still owe a check and a picture. I'm going to do it for the banner that's going to go out here certain times of the year, Veterans Day, Memorial Day. And if y'all haven't seen those, they're Young Eagle Scout. It's Boy Scout. It's his Eagle Scout project. He showed up, and it's amazing. It's incredible. And I think we cleared where we can have 2 on each post. I think so, and that's approximately how many banners we could have up. Miss Shelley's showing you here. This is one of the banners, and I our Boy Scouts blow me away anyway. But this young man with his Eagle Scout project, this is.
Cool.
Yeah, that's
How much is it? How much is it?
$75. So I'm certainly, I would be honored to have my service recognized out there, not because of me, just because of this town. So that's a great project coming up. And then we had the appointment of the charter employees, Ms. Shelley here. She was voted unanimously. Didn't have to buy us dinner or anything, but she gives us candy and water. So that was pretty much it for that meeting.
Okay. So the SUPs are 2 passed, 1 failed.
Correct.
Okay. All right, sir. ARB update?
I have not gone to a meeting yet. I think the next meeting is on Wednesday. So no update as of yet, but you will have an update from me next meeting.
All right, thank you. And you, 3 new gentlemen, I really appreciate you serving. It's good to have you guys on board, and hopefully we will continue to grow in numbers. We still have room for more, correct? Okay, that's true, because it was down to 5. All right, any other things that we need to discuss before we adjourn? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, good night, drive safe. Watch the news.
Chief Lands posted a picture of that tornado down in Richmond. It was bad.
It hit middle of town, middle of the city, or?
No,